I was the head writer for a column called The Daily Fix. When I loved it, I was interviewing celebrities and I was going to movie premieres. When 9/11 happened, I really analyzed what I was doing for a living. And I said, am I making a living doing something that's benefiting people? Really?
Hey there, welcome or welcome back to the Mischief Movement podcast. I'm Zoe, your guide on this journey to shake up the status quo and design a life that truly makes you feel alive. If you've ever felt disconnected, stuck on autopilot, or trapped in a life that feels more like a treadmill than an adventure, you're in the right place. I know that change can feel scary, so let's turn down the fear and crank up the fierce as we transform your life from the inside out. Whether it's solo episodes packed with actionable advice or interviews with some absolute badass human beings who've dared to defy the norm by living life their way, we're here to inspire, activate, empower, and challenge you each week. My mission is simple: to help you reawaken your rebel spirit, break free from mediocrity, and design a life that's anything but dull. You only get one wild life, so what are you planning to do with yours? If you're ready to stop settling, start living boldly, and create a positive impact along the way, let's dive in and stir up some mischief together. Now buckle up and let's go. Today's guest didn't just find her voice, she built a career on it. Christine Blosdale started out writing entertainment columns for AOL and working in radio, so she knows exactly what makes people lean in and what makes them scroll on by. She spent decades behind microphones, in media, and in rooms where attention is currency. And now she's helping women to stop playing small with their brilliance. Christine coaches women to name their expertise boldly, clearly, and unapologetically so they can get seen, heard, and hired. Not someday, not when they feel ready, but now. She's also a best-selling author, has written multiple books on authority, visibility, and owning your voice, and she's helped hundreds of people step into the spotlight without shrinking, softening, or second-guessing themselves. Because, let's be honest, there are far too many brilliant women out there hiding behind vague job titles and humble disclaimers. Christine is here to burn that script. So if you've ever struggled to explain what you do without diluting it, if you know that you're good but you don't quite know how to claim it, this episode is about to crank your volume all the way up. Let's get into it. Back this week, in fact, first guest of 2026, which is quite exciting because I stopped podcasting towards the end of 2025. And I'm very excited to welcome Christine Blosdale. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be with you.
Oh, I'm happy you're here as well. Could you tell everybody what your mischief is?
My mischief. It's really funny. We were talking before you hit record about consumption and, shopping and all that stuff. But, and this is from with when COVID happened. When COVID happened, we weren't allowed to do anything really. We weren't allowed to really at a certain point, we weren't able to go very far from our homes. You couldn't go visit people, and the only thing you could do was to go to the grocery store, right? And it was like, that's it. You're allowed to go. And I would go to here in Australia, we have Coles and Woolworths, Woolies, we call it Woolies. And I would go and I would spend 2 hours just meandering down through the aisles, looking at all of the things. And that is and I still to this day, it's like if my wife wants to, get some things from the shops, I go, I'll go because I love going to the grocery store. I love coming I do. And especially because her mother is someone who's like, she'll come back and she'll go, look, I got for $1.50, this thing that's like $10 normally.
Yeah.
I look for all these little bargains. I look for all these little things. So I feel like I'm like, I've got one over on the shopping.
Is
Right?
that what it
But
is? What is that? Do you think what the attraction is?
I think so. I think it's finding that little gem. I used to love going to thrift stores, and finding that little gem. And the thrift stores here in Australia, they're not as great as in America. I used to live in a predominantly LGBTQ neighborhood, and I would go to the thrift store there, and man. 'cause I'll tell you something, gay men have the best style.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and it would be predominantly gay men who would be donating their clothes to this place, and I would be like, "Oh my gosh, a Hugo Boss suit for, $50, come
Oh, that's
on,"
amazing.
right? Yeah, so I like to find those little bargains. Isn't that funny?
It is. I'm like, what? Why is that? Do you think it's a callback to sort of branding days and marketing? And are you aware of any of that, or are you just looking for the bargains?
I am definitely aware of it. It harkens back to when I was a kid.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
just that whole joy of going to the grocery store because I was we were very I didn't know it then, though. I didn't realize because you don't when you're a kid, really. You don't put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't realize that we were actually not very well off. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. I'll reframe it. We weren't, and so I knew that if my dad said, "Hey, Christy, we're going to the store," that's how he talked. "Hey, Christy, we're going to the store." Uh, I knew that I would get to pick things, right? And it was my opportunity to consume to consume
Yeah.
products. It was mostly like, the cereal box aisle because every kid loves that. But it was, an opportunity that it was like whatever kind of whatever you wanted. It was, "You want that? Alright, let's put that in the cart." Okay. So it's that I think it's that little treat thing, and that's my little mischief. I know it's not very exciting. It's not very probably you've had guests on that have great mischief stories, but I just like to yeah. I I get a little kick out of going to the grocery stores and finding sometimes I'll find a product too that I've never seen before, but I
But that's
am
fun though,
very
isn't it?
conscious. Yeah,
Do
oh,
you
it is
like to
fun.
try new stuff, new products and things if
I
you come
do.
across them?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very much aware of, like now as I get older, I am older, I'm very much aware of the ingredients that they put in there, and my god,
Sure.
most of the stuff is crap. I mean,
Yeah.
anything that's at your eye level, and I've learned this through many interviews with branding and marketing folks and people who are very skilled in this.
And, like, how is it that you've had these kind of conversations with marketing and branding people? Is that through your work?
Mostly through when I was working in radio. I was in broadcasting for 20 years,
Let's go back
and
there. How did you
yeah,
get into radio?
yes. Well, it was very strange, journey. I was very lucky at a young age to work for America Online, and back in the day you're too young to know this, I think, but back in the day America Online was it. That was it. There was no YouTube, there was no TikTok or Facebook or any of that. And, America Online had different communities or channels, and I was the head writer for a column called The Daily Fix, and The Daily Fix was in the entertainment channel, so it was very popular, channel and a very popular column that I got to do.
Amazing.
And so, while I loved it, I was interviewing celebrities, and I was going to movie premieres, and I got to do brutally honest movie reviews, which they don't have anymore, um, really. I mean, not too many, but I got to be really honest and funny. I got to be really funny in my writing.
Yeah.
Um, when 9/11 happened, I really analyzed what I was doing for a living, and I said, am I making a living doing something that's benefiting people, really? Do people really care? I mean, is in the great scheme of things, is it really important to know who Angelina Jolie is dating? Really? You know? When 9/11 happened, I took stock in what I was doing and what was important, and as everybody knows, I mean, when 9/11 happened, it was a huge shock to everybody, but especially being in the United States, we remember exactly where we were. I remember what the TV, I remember being afraid, but I had questions about the whole thing because I was
Yeah.
like, why would anybody hate us? What? And I didn't know about Middle East policy. I didn't know all of the shenanigans that America has done and perpetrated around the world,
Yeah.
okay? It's the same thing about Britain, the
Yeah.
UK. It's an interesting history as well. So, I wanted to learn more, and that's what happens, when you're seeking something out,
Sure.
and you're not comfortable, but there's gotta be a different path. There's gotta be a different way. And I stumbled across a radio station. I was channel surfing as you do. You're stuck in traffic and you're hitting the dial. And, the station came on, and it was so unusual, and it was so refreshing. It wasn't corporate media. It was an independent, community-sponsored radio station in Los
Oh,
Angeles, so it had a large signal,
yeah.
but it was so unique, and I just was drawn to it, and I actually went to that station, drove there, and I said, "I just wanna walk around and say thank you to everybody who's working here during very trying times, very scary times, but I appreciate um, the analysis and the questions and and going deep." It was just an intelligent, you know, radio station with programs. So I drove myself there and I walked around and I thanked everybody, and somebody said, "What is it that you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I write for AOL and, I do Hollywood things, and it's all about celebrities and everything." But I said, "But you guys are not." I didn't say you're doing the Lord's work, but I was like, "But you are doing the Lord's work. You're doing something so important." And they
Yeah.
said, "You should think about volunteering." And I was like, "Ooh, I could do that?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, I am a writer." And they had no writers. They couldn't afford any writers. So, so I volunteered in the beginning as a writer, and then I loved that, and then I moved into producing, different programs, and eventually a job opening, happened, and it was paying crap. No money at all. I mean, we had to unionize and fight for, $10 an hour or something
I
like
think
that. It
a
was
lot of radio
stupid.
jobs are a bit like that, actually,
Oh, it was
especially in the
horrible.
UK. Yeah.
It's horrible, but I loved it. And so I started doing that, and then it was that story, that Hollywood story, and this was in Hollywood, really. The host of the show couldn't do drive time, 5 o'clock prime time. If you have a show in radio, you want it to be 5 o'clock, and, and they couldn't do it, and I can't remember if they broke their leg or they were sick or something, and they said, "Christine, you have to go on the air." It was just like maybe, a few minutes before 5 o'clock, and I was like,
God.
excuse me? No, I'm all prepared for the host." "No, no, 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 you don't understand. They're not gonna be able to make it. You have to go. You have to go on the air." And imposter syndrome kicked in. That dreaded So when I work with clients and they have imposter syndrome, I know what it feels like. I know how icky it is. I know how scary it is to do something that you're not comfortable with, or that's
Yeah.
new, or that's out of, your stretch, your reach. And so, I was like, I was scared. I got into a dark studio. I put the headphones on, or the cans, as they say in the industry. I
Yeah.
pulled the microphone close to me and I said, "Oh my god, I don't know what they're gonna make fun of me. I didn't even like my voice." And then the on-air light went on, and it was like I came home. I was like, all of a sudden, the words that came out of my mouth were the exact words that needed to be heard, right? And I connected with an audience that I couldn't see and I couldn't hear, but I connected with them. And it was just magic. And that began really my career. I was hosting shows, I did fundraisers, all of that good stuff. So, in that period of 20 years, I interviewed a lot of people. I interviewed, authors and, peace makers and people telling, their story, but also sharing their story. But also, I got a really in-depth look at people in their industries, and I got to interview a lot of people who that's what their job was to sell stuff to the masses,
Yeah.
and how they peeled away the veneer, and they said, "This is what it's all about." And learning about, you know, the chocolate industry, and how horrific that is for children in these countries, and it's slave labor. It's the same thing with the sewing, manufacturer, in different countries.
Yeah.
It's horrible. They lock the doors, and it's horrible conditions, and they're paid ridiculously nothing. So I learned a lot in that period. That's a very long answer to your question, but but that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's amazing. No, I love that though because um I was sat there thinking, yeah, but you know, was it just a coincidence that you happened to scan that station? Or did it just kind of come in at the right moment? And the fact that you actually decided to go there and
Yeah,
then from going on the radio, life went in a completely different direction.
absolutely,
Oh, like a
absolutely.
sliding doors moment. I love that.
When I first started volunteering there, you know, a week before I'd be going to some red carpet, you know, event and fighting paparazzi would be behind me popping the thing. But I had a microphone, what do they call it? It was a cube,
Yes.
on my recording thing. But it had, AOL, the logo, America Online AOL. It had that on it, and my press badge said America Online. So that got me through. That pushed me to the front of the line
Yeah.
because there was nothing like it. So I was standing next to, ABC News or the local, television, all the little, the Hollywood Reporter, all those all those industry rags, as they say. So it got me into a place that I was, very front and center. But it was again, I was it's that calling, and I know you have that calling too, that calling it's pulling at you and you can't ignore it, and if you do ignore it, you're always gonna wonder, "What if oh, I wonder what would have happened if I did that, if I didn't stay at that job that I wasn't fulfilled at?" And I work with so many women that have had that pull, and they're finally creating their own businesses, their own consulting, companies and things like that. And it's a great thing to see them sparkle, to go from eh to yeah.
Yeah. So how did you address that? Because you were there with AOL, but then you started volunteering with the radio station. So was there a sort of overlap for a time where you were like, I've got to do this because it's paying the bills, but actually I feel really fulfilled by the radio work?
Yeah, and it's the same thing that happened when I went from working for the radio station to creating my own business.
Hmm.
And if people who are listening to this and watching this, uh if they feel that pull and they know they need to start their own business, they wanna be a coach or, they wanna be some sort of service provider. If you have a job now that's paying the bills, I highly recommend that you do a little bit of double time, right? So that you know
Yeah.
that you're not desperate and you're not quitting that job and then not having that income. So then everything, my whole world revolves around this thing working and right away. Right. And I've had a few clients that are like, this has to work now. Like, I need to be making money tomorrow. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to build the foundation of your brand and your actual, your business, the nuts and bolts of your business, the foundation, and then we go into your messaging and your marketing. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It won't be too long because I'm really good at what I do when I coach people, but it's not something that you're going to just, tomorrow start making money. And
Yeah.
so if you're able to do that transition, and for me, it was probably almost like a 2-year process for me because getting
Okay.
those clients weren't so hard about getting. It was just making sure that I was really clear in what I wanted to offer people. But a lot of times I would be speaking to somebody doing an interview and I would go to their website and I loved what they did, or they were an author and they were amazing, but I would always have ideas for them and suggestions for their I'd be like, "Oh, hey, did you ever think about doing this with your business or maybe on your website?" And they were like, "Oh my god, that's so brilliant. Can, can I hire you to help me with my presentation or my website or my messaging?" And so that's how it started. And just a little piecemeal here and there, but I
Brilliant.
knew I needed to leave, because also I was moving to Australia from America to Australia to be with my wife because I fell in love with someone 7,000 miles away.
Ah, I wondered how you ended up in Australia.
She found me on Instagram, those the things you might like or whatever page, and
Yeah.
it was a picture of me. I don't even know what picture it was, but she said it was a picture of me. She landed on it and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I am very attracted to this human being." But yeah, she found me on Instagram, and then we, started talking and all that stuff. So I knew that I was gonna be moving here, and, the great thing about what I did is I could do it from anywhere. I could do the wonders of technology and Zoom. I was able to record, interviews and do my fundraising and all that stuff for quite
Yeah.
for a little while, and then it
Yeah.
was time because then it was I had too many clients, and I was just like, I can't focus on the 2 at the same time. It was just too much.
Wow. So it sounds like the coaching kind of happened almost by accident because you were there being proactive with your ideas and contributing to people, that
Yeah.
coaching kind of grew out of that, and then you decided to run with it.
Well,
Did you
yeah.
feel like you'd found like your fulfilling
Yeah,
thing?
I found my thing. Well, I had always wanted to I sort of always wanted to be a teacher. When I went to college, I went for 4 or 5 years. I can't remember how long it was. It was that long ago. But I wanted to be a teacher, and then I saw, like, how much they pay teachers, and I was like, no, probably not." But, there was a time in between graduating, college, university, and really finding my space and doing the writing and things like that, and then getting for AOL. There was, a time there where I needed a job. I did need to do something, and I started doing because it was the whole, Jane Fonda fitness thing, right? All that. So I started doing some fitness, started doing some teaching some classes, and then I became a personal fitness I became a fitness coach
No
first.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't know it now, but yes, that I was a fitness coach, and, what would you know what? When you're, like, 19, 20 years old, you're in the best shape of your life, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Hi, I'm a fitness coach. Would you like me to, work with you?" And then everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, I want what you got." Yeah. It's called being 20.
You've
But
just
I
given
was
away the secret now.
but I had a really good way of motivating, people,
Yeah.
and I was part therapist, you know? It's like when you go to get your hair done, those I ask
Yes,
my hairdresser all the time. I say, "Do people, like, confide it?" She's like, "Oh, girl," like,
they
"I
do.
am a therapist. I am a divorce counselor. I am all these things." So that's how I started, kind of, doing that private coaching, and I really, loved that. I loved that, and that one-on-one. I love doing group coaching. I have a mastermind. It's a small group of women that we meet every other week, and I love them, but I just enjoy working one-on-one with people and
Yeah.
and helping them. That's my thing.
And so what do you find yourself coaching on? And have you moved from, different niches or from different sort of coaching areas?
It took me a little while to sort of, focus in, really nail down my brand, and
Yeah.
my brand, I'm always growing, I'm always looking for ways to grow and
Yeah.
to, um, what's the word? Polish, right? So
Mhm.
I don't just set and forget. And this is the thing I tell my clients too. You're not going to get to a point. You're not McDonald's. You're not the Golden Arches. You're not going to have just this thing and that's it. And that cheeseburger that's always going to be there. You're going to
Yeah.
grow. Hopefully, you're going to grow. So you're going to have different offers. You're going to have different programs. You're going to, change and evolve. And so my whole business, my coaching business has evolved through the times. So during COVID, everybody was in lockdown, so people were upskilling. So I was actually really busy during COVID, but my bread and butter was teaching people, showing them as a coach in 4 sessions basically. And I don't know how I did it, but how to create a podcast for their business, for their
Yeah.
brand, to market themselves, which having a podcast is brilliant, as you know. It is one of the best ways. It's so good for you. It's so good for your SEO. You get to meet people that you would never meet before. You get to develop great relationships with them.
Yeah.
It's such an important thing. And so I was very busy and made a lot of money during the COVID times because so many people wanted to create a podcast. So that was the thing, right? That was the
Yeah.
hot topic. Now, out of COVID, things had changed, and, this is something that I tell my clients is that you gotta really stay on top of what your target audience, your potential client, your dream clients, right?
Hmm.
What it is that they need and want, not what you want to sell them.
Yeah.
They're 2 different things. They can be 2 very different things. So in during COVID, what I wanted to push and what was, really in high demand was showing people how to create a podcast, how to record, how to edit, how to publish, how to market, blah, 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 how to talk, all those things, right? So and I was a natural for that because I did it for 20 years, interviewing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really good, but then things shifted, and what I saw was that my clients, what they really needed help with was their business, was their foundation, the
Okay.
branding, the messaging, the naming, of who they are, their title, right? And the communication. Yes, social media stuff, but really the words that they use and on their website, if they're really connecting,
Yeah.
and the programs that they offer and things like that. So then when I did that shift, that's when it clicked. And that's when I went from Christine Blosdale, media coach, which what is that? And it sounds too disconnected from people. It's like, oh, I have a media coach. It's like, I have a butler or a sommelier. It's like nobody could understand that. But then when I switched to the expert authority coach, people still kind of go, "What is that?" But most people kind of get it. "Oh, this is a coach who helps people become an expert authority." Or if you're an expert authority, all I do is I just polish you up and shine you up so that you can shine and you can stand out a little bit, right? That's the most important thing. So,
Yeah.
so that's how it kind of evolved. Yeah.
I've been talking to so many people lately who feel a bit stuck, not broken or lost, but just caught in that weird in between where you know that you're meant for more, but you just can't seem to get yourself moving. Um, and honestly, I get it because I've been there too. That's actually why I created something new called the Rebel Reset. It's a 90-minute session where we shake things up, we cut through the fog, and we get you moving again in a way that actually feels like you. So if you've been waiting for a sign or you're tired of ending the year feeling frustrated, this might be exactly what you need. You can just message me reset on Instagram, or you can reply directly via text through the show notes if you're curious. All right, back to the episode. That's incredible. Do you love where you're at now?
Love it. Yes. I love it, and I love my clients. They, when you're in your zone and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and I'm also I don't know about you with human design, but I've just went down that rabbit hole, and found out that I'm a projector.
Me too.
And projectors, we are not supposed to, like, go after we're supposed to wait for the invitation. We're supposed to be recognized for our expert authority,
Yeah.
and people will invite you in, right? They'll come to you. And, well,
Yes.
that's very frustrating when you're starting a business and you're like,
Yeah.
"Ah." But I found that when you stay in your genius and you do the things that you're a genius for, it works. It really does. And so that's what's really fun about right now. But I love working, and my clients are from all over the world. They're there in the UK. That's why I get up really a little bit early. They're based in New York, on the East Coast of America, Canada, all over. I love it. I really do.
I think so many people feel like they're not ready yet for calling themselves an expert or an authority in anything. So like what do you say to your clients who are kind of waiting to feel qualified? Presumably it's like, no, there's no such thing as ready, get to it. But, you know,
Well, that's when imposter syndrome a lot of times comes in,
yes.
because we all are, if you boil it down, we all are an expert in something, right? And what I loved, I had a client who came to me one time and said, "Oh, Christina, but I'm only a, this or that. I'm only a mother, I'm only, someone who's just started. I worked at a company for all these years, and I'm only now just starting because and it goes down to number 1, you have to have a passion, right, for what it is that you do. That will fuel and it will take you so far, that passion, for if it's for helping people, if it's for being creative, whatever it is. If you love to write, that passion will be the fuel, right? That's your petrol, your gas.
Yeah.
Um, but there is always something, and a lot of times it takes somebody from the outside to look in and to see what it is that you've been doing to go, "Yep." First of all, we can tell you, as a good coach, we can tell you that that's a highly demandable thing that you have, right? It's a skill set that not everybody has, but it's something that you can actually hold on to and call your own, and we wanna shape it so that it is yours, and it's brandable, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, when there's people that have businesses now, and especially with social media and TikTok, that, you know, if you can feed a family of 4 for, or dinner, let's even say, for $20 a day, you're a hit. You are a hit. If you're someone who's really good, people come to you for advice about their relationship, and they're always coming in and talking, you have the ability to be a relationship coach, right? I
Yeah.
know a woman who went through such a horrible divorce, or divorces, and learned a lot about what to do, what not to do. She's a divorce coach. And she and her clients are mostly women, but she helps them figure the shit out. And to be somebody who's like, "I've been with you." Now, it could be very lonely and very scary and very sad and very emotional going through a divorce, and you feel like you're all on your own, and you're worried about the kids, and you're worried about about how the security, the financial, this, that. But if you've got a divorce coach, geez, that's valuable, right?
Yes.
So we all have skills and we all have something that we're an expert in. I'm really good at looking at something and go, that's not right. That's a little off. This would be better, right? I'm that
Yeah.
person who we're sitting at a restaurant and there's the painting on the wall way over there is just a little off. I'm the
You
one
gotta
who
go and
gets up.
adjust it.
I
Yes.
got to get up. I got to get up. I got to go over there. I got to move it. And people look at me like I'm nuts. But it's because it's bothering me. It's not right. It's gotta be you gotta put it level, especially if it's like a landscape, it's like the ocean or something like that. I'm like, "Bah, I gotta go over there and move it." Yeah, I'm that person.
I mean, I'm like just thinking about what you're saying about everybody's an expert in something, but I suppose the other side of that is the people who they might not necessarily feel like an expert in something, but they've got a lot of passions. And that can
Yeah.
be its own problem. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm interested in this, but I'm good at that thing, but I get paid for this other thing. And by the way, I'm also really curious to learn this thing. And where do they go? Because being multi passionate is its
Yes.
own kind of problem.
Well, being multi-talented, and that's what I I think when I first started, that's what with my own branding was my issue, right? I was like, "Oh, I can do this for you. I can do that. I can help you in your website. I can help you create a podcast. I can do, this, that, and the other, all these different things." And it was confusing. It was confusing to the
Yeah.
marketplace. It was confusing to people on social media. It was like, "What is it that she does? She does a lot." And so you do need to initially sort of niche down to this is I help, women going through divorce, not, help them keep their sanity and their money or whatever, whatever that little tagline is that we want to create. But being multi-talented is great. The thing is that you need to focus in on what your ideal client, what they need and want, and send that message out so that they at least can come through the door. So with the expert authority coach, people can come through my door. We have that strategy session, that free call,
Yeah.
and when they come through the door, then I find out about what their business is or what they wanna do. Then I can tell them about all my other multi-talents, right? I can say, "Oh, by the way, I can help you if you want to create a best-selling book, okay? I can help you with that and how to get you a bestseller, right? I can
Mhm.
also help you with the podcast or being a guest on podcasts. I can help you, but I don't that's if that's my messaging, it's too confusing. Once they come into my world, then I can say, "Oh, I also can show you that I can also help you with that," right? Don't confuse people. Yeah.
I love that because I think so often it seems like you're supposed to pick one thing, one lane, and that's it, and you don't talk about the other stuff. But what you're saying is, no, you're picking an entry point that connects with somebody, but as soon as you've got them through the door, you're
Yeah.
completely allowed to just say, "By the way, if you need this other thing, like, I also know about that."
Yes. Yes. And so that's for those people too that have those multi-talents. But you need to find that low-hanging fruit, the thing that you absolutely love and you could talk to for days, and even if you could talk about it, you could do it for free because you
Yeah.
love it doing it so much. You're not going to. You're going you're going to have to make, it's an exchange. It's an energy exchange. You know,
Yeah.
that financial that investment from somebody who wants to be with you. But once you bring them in, then you can and also, I have some clients that when I bring them into my world, I don't need to talk to them about creating a podcast. They are not podcast host material,
Yeah.
but I could talk to them about being a guest on a podcast to promote their
Yeah.
business, right? Or writing
Yeah.
that book. A lot of times I've got clients, I said, you're sitting on a gold mine and a gold mine, but you don't realize it because they think in order to write a best-selling book, you have to have a publisher, and then you've got to write a Tom Clancy novel.
You've written a few books, haven't you?
5, and they're all bestsellers, but I don't write huge books. I write little tiny books, little thin little books. Look at this book I'm holding up right now, Social Media and Branding Survival Guide. There's not even enough room for my name on the spine. It's like it's like 90 pages and in big font, okay? So you don't need to write a huge 700-page book. That's what holds people back.
That's true.
You can write a smaller book and working with myself, you can have a bestseller. But it's you the thing is you have to take action. You can't I dreamt about writing a book for years, and I just thought it would be too hard until I actually sat down and did it,
So
and I
what
was like, "Well,
happened? What happened to make you sit down and write it then? What was the catalyst for that?
Actually, I had a friend in Los Angeles who she was in the publishing industry, and she was just like, "Why don't you write a book?" And I was like, "Ugh, about what?" And I was at that time, I was just getting into podcasting. It was probably about 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, what's right now the big craze is this thing called podcasting." And she's like, "You already know so much about it and you have that radio background. You've got all this." And I was like, "Oh, it is like radio. It it is. It's communicating through your
Yeah.
voice because
Yeah.
people can hear you and they can feel you, right? They can feel you. And it is a great marketing tool. It is fabulous. So, that was the first book that I did, and that was a tiny little itty bitty book. It was a little itty bitty book about podcasting, and then it just moved on from there, and the other books that I've written have been about being a podcast guest. That's, Grab That Microphone, that's one. The Social Media and Branding Survival Guide is the first book that I've written that's not about podcasting,
Mhm.
and it's, generally for coaches and entrepreneurs, with some of my top tips and easy things. I guess my working trademark is that I keep things simple, easy to do, and fun. I don't make things complicated. Is there a complicated, more technical way to create a podcast? Yes. But my clients, I want to keep it easy for them so that they can have success,
Sure.
right? So it's achievable for them so that after working with me, boom, they've got a working podcast that they can do. It's not too technical, it's not too difficult. They have control over it. And that's mwah, that's teaching somebody how to fish instead of just giving them, you know, a plate of filet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So what are some of the classic challenges that people come to you with? I wonder whether there's a lot of recurring themes within your clients?
Mm. I think I've got quite a few people that the first thing that we do is we deal with the imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
and that happens with lots and lots of I mean, the majority of people have imposter syndrome moments, right? They're not always living in that every single day, but they'll have and what I always say is that to the clients that are dealing with that is realize that almost everybody goes through it, but especially high achievers. High
Mhm.
achievers have the hardest time sometimes moving from one thing to another because they're scared, because they're so used to doing things perfectly, right?
Yes.
They're the ones that have all the certifications on the wall and they've studied and they've, dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's and they work really hard. And so when they're asked to do something that's a little spooky or that does they don't have maybe they don't know how people are going to react about them doing it. We're worried about what other people think. And we clear that up right away. My clients, I have to clear that up with them because if not, it'll be so difficult for them to move forward,
Yeah, but
right?
that's the kind of thing that can hold people back literally for years.
Forever,
So
forever.
how
Yeah.
how on earth do you manage to get people
I
past
have
that
a couple of I
moving?
have a couple tricks up my sleeve. I do. I have a couple tricks up my sleeve. And once someone works with me for any amount of time, um, I guarantee, but I can guarantee that when those uncomfortable moments come up, you'll approach them differently after working with me.
Wow.
Because I also had that imposter syndrome. That first time I had to go on the microphone at the radio station to millions of people in Los Angeles, I had that. I've had it in other moments in my life when I've been asked to do something that is, foreign or, "Ooh, that could be scary," right? But if
Yeah.
you don't show up and you don't do it, first of all, you don't grow. You never know. It could take you into a whole other direction. It gave me that stepping through that fear gave me a huge, wonderful career. I made friends and I mean, my goodness, it was just the right thing to do. And so there are moments in life when we do need to walk through those doors and on the other side is something really magical and it can set you up for something fabulous. So I have a few little systems that little couple exercises that I do to help people with that. But I say I'll
Awesome.
tell them too. I say, "Who's your favorite actor or actress?" And they'll say, "Whoever." And I'll say, "Do you know who suffers the most from imposter syndrome? Actors and actresses. They're so good at playing someone else, not themselves. They're so good at that because showing up as themselves is too scary. But man, they're brilliant playing a character."
Yes, I can see that.
And that brings it home for some people. They go, "Oh, okay, yeah, right." And if you have imposter syndrome moments, will you ever like overcome them all the time, every single time you have it? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe if you have that and it pulls you away from an opportunity, maybe you need to see that that opportunity that was missed was because you didn't show up, right? Sometimes we learn from those type of things. But I also say, if you don't show up, the very people that you say that you want to help, they're not going to get the help because you're not there. You did not step up into your passion because you were worried about what people were going to think. You're worried about your family members thinking that you were crazy. You were worried about looking stupid or looking silly or whatever. And so those people that you claim you want to help, they're not getting that help. And as a matter of fact, they might go to somebody who could really do harm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You
that
didn't
whole
show up.
thing about it being selfish not to
Yeah.
share,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
I
Yeah.
I n I don't I try not to say that to people. I try not to say, "Well, you're being selfish, damn it." Right?
Yeah.
But it's that reframe. When we take the focus off of us and how we're gonna be perceived, and we focus on the client. It's the same thing as a parent. When
Yes.
you take the focus off of you and you focus on the needs of your child, that's the important thing because you showing up for your child and helping them through whatever they're going through, that is the most valuable, important thing. It's not about how you're gonna be looking, how the neighbors are gonna be thinking about you. It's about your kid, right? So it should be about the people that you wanna help.
Yeah. Have you got any real highlights from your coaching journey? Are there any standout clients or things that
Oh my god.
really massive challenges that you've helped them to overcome that have just left you feeling, I don't know, just so satisfied with what you're doing?
I have one client who she was really good at what she did, but her business was, again, I could see in her she had a much bigger business than what she was seeing herself.
Yeah.
And, that my client Julia Loggins, who's actually Kenny Loggins' former wife,
Oh.
and she was a colon hydrotherapist. She's a gut health expert. She, although we called her now gut health expert, but she was a colon hydrotherapist in, Santa Barbara in Southern California, and, very time intensive, right? To be with somebody, she'd spend 2 or 3 hours sometimes with people, so, for one appointment, right? And she's an angel. Uh, Julia is a goddess, a heart so big. But what happened is that it was very, it was brick and mortar, so people had to go there, they had to be with her, and she would, suggest certain products, healthy products to help your gut and things like that. And I looked at her one time because I got to meet her. She actually wrote me at the radio station, and there was something magical about her email to me, and I said, "I wanna find out more." And when I was with her, I looked around and I said, you have something, your expertise," and she had been doing it for like 30 or 40 years. I said, "Your expertise, people around the world need to know. People in, not just Santa Barbara, but people in Texas, people in the UK, people in Australia, people in Spain, people all around the world need your help because they're really suffering with their
Mm.
guts, right? I mean, oh my god, all this stuff." So she goes, "Oh, yeah," and I said, "Listen, let's take you internationally, and let's get you some products that are yours with your name, your face on it, so that you can start selling this stuff," right? And we did. We worked on her brand. We worked on getting her out there. And now she's a huge TikTok star. She's got all of these followers. Her videos are like shared all over the place, and people all around the world are ordering her products. And I got to help her develop those products because at first it was like she didn't want to be the center of attention, right? It was, no, you know, it's this protein powder, da 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 da, happy gut protein powder. And I was like, no, 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 it's Julia Loggins' happy gut powder, protein powder. And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You paid dearly for your name, have you not?" Being married to in the spotlight with Kenny Loggins, a musician
Yeah.
and I said, not paid a lot 'cause they have a great relationship, even though they're divorced. Fantastic relationship. But I said, You have recognizable name." And I said, "You're the epitome of beauty and health. This woman is gorgeous, radiant with health, right?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Put your picture on there." She got red hair. "Put your picture on top on those labels, and it's gonna be called Julia Loggins blah, 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 blah. Julia Loggins, you know, parasite cleanse. Julia Loggins, digestive enzymes. Julia Loggins." And at first she was uncomfortable. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can." I said, "Trust me." And she did. And then now she's got a fabulous international business, and so she's not just reaching the people that are in Santa Barbara, but all around the world, and that's one of my favorite stories because I love her, and she's so deserving of this success, and she's an angel. She is so kind. I'm very proud to have her be, not only my client, but my dear friend, and that's what happens when you work with people that you love, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So for anybody like listening now who's thinking, I don't know if I'm an authority, I don't know what my expertise is, like what
Yeah.
might be a first step for them?
Easy. I make it so easy for you. They can reach out to me. They can go to my website and they can reach out to me. It's expertauthoritycoach.com. They can take a look at the website, but there's contact me buttons. There's a free consultation. So if you want to sit down with me for a good 30 minutes, that's a lot of time together. But you could tell me what you've been doing, and I'll give you my advice, what I would suggest. But that they can actually book that directly if they go to chat with Christine B com. That's my booking calendar, and it's free, and they get a recording of it as well. But that way, they could, if they're excited about it now, they could go to chatwithchristineb.com, book it in, and I can be with you tomorrow, right? That's how quick
Awesome.
it is.
Yeah.
So, for people who want to go and they want to go to my website and see all the things that I do and the services, they can do that. That's expertauthoritycoach.com. But if they want to specifically book a free consultation, they just go to chatwithchristineb.com. And as
Awesome.
you know, we have a
Yeah.
blast.
I was gonna say I can vouch for these for this strategy session because we had
Yeah,
a fun one on Friday.
yeah,
Um, I guess lastly, I just want to ask you about the fact that a lot of the listeners are in that stage where they're trying to design their life with intention. You know, they're really looking at
yeah,
designing their life on purpose so that they're breaking out of the cycle of just living on autopilot. Um, have you managed to do that to the extent
yes.
that you'd like?
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you have, what are some of the things that you've done that you've been really intentional about in order to really kind of build a life that fits around the lifestyle that you want and not
Mm.
feeling as though you're just, you know, stuck on the treadmill?
Well, I'll say that for people who feel like they don't really know what their magical juices, right? That fuel. I do suggest looking into your human design. There's so many websites you can get a free basic human design chart. It tells you, you have to put in your information, your birth date, and all that stuff. But when I found out too that, and I'm looking at my full chart for projector,
Hmm.
it says exactly how I'm meant to work. I'm not meant to work long hours in an office, 9 to 5, for somebody else, right? Pouring my heart and soul out for someone else. I do best in short bursts, and that's how I work. I work very intensely. I'm concentrated, so I can take an hour with somebody, and we do so much. We accomplish so much, but
Yeah.
then I need rest. Right? I need a downtime. So I get to work from home. I have my beautiful little puppy dog. I can take a break. I can take her for a walk. I can do my laundry. I come back in, I focus, boom, 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 create, right? But then I can retreat and take a break. I can even go take a 20-minute nap if I want. That's how I work best.
Yeah.
And that's how I can create and all new ideas come in. So when you find your human design and how you work best, how you function at optimal levels, woo, it really changes things. And I'm actually not that I'm a human design expert at all. At all. I'm not an expert. But I am going to be incorporating that as part of my coaching. In other words,
Oh,
to
wow.
go through with someone to find out what they are in
Yeah.
human design, so that will help me as a coach to understand how to coach them, right? How to
Yes.
guide
Yeah.
them. Does that make
That
sense?
makes yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be a like a questionnaire or something. That'll be something that they have to do before they work with me. You need to do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Awesome.
lovely. I hope that you just go after whatever your passions are, because you have just this great quality about you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, yeah. You're very heart-led. Can feel that. Definitely can feel that
Even
you
through
come
the
from a heart space.
screen. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christine.
10,000 miles away, however far we are from each other, I don't know. But we're all under the Commonwealth, aren't we?
Sure.
You're lovely.
Listen, I know that time is ticking on. It's very early for you. It's getting late for me.
Yeah.
I have loved having this chat with you. So thank you
Thank you.
so much
Me
for
too.
joining us. I'll pop all the links in the show notes. And Presumably, everybody should just go to your website. Are you on socials as well?
Yes, I am, but I'm really,
Really?
I think and I really like being on LinkedIn because I can create, I can have my newsletter there. I can do a little bit more grown-up stuff on there, but,
Oh, you don't do grown up stuff as well, do
my
you?
other mischiefy thing is that I'm a TikTok freak, okay? I'm an addict of TikTok. So, I do post things on TikTok, although once in a while they're business related, but a lot of times they're not. They're just silly, crazy, weird things that I do. So I am on TikTok and I'm on LinkedIn. If you want the more sophisticated version of Christine, you can go to LinkedIn, and if you want the more "What the heck is she doing now?" You could go to TikTok. So that's my mischievous that's another mischievous little thing.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Aw,
Christine.
thank you, darling. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I loved that episode. Christine has such a vibrant, positive energy about her. So, here are my takeaways from our conversation. Number one, if you feel the nudge to do something that you're passionate about, or actually, even if you're not sure what you want to do with your life, start volunteering. You just don't know what doors will open because of it. Number two, talk about feel the fear and doing it anyway. But Christine had to go on primetime radio in place of someone else. So not only did she feel like she came home, she actually described it as feeling magic. And then it kickstarted a career on the air. If you can face your fear and do it anyway, you never know what magic is on the other side. Number three, talking to people is a great way to learn about all sorts of things, including what other jobs are out there, what other people do, what people are looking for in their lives. You just don't know when you connect with people where it might take you. Number four, if you feel the pull to start your own business or pivot your career, don't quit your day job just yet. It's far easier to build the foundations of something new if you have the financial stability behind you and you're not desperate to make money straight away. Five, be generous with your ideas and suggestions. Helping others with your knowledge and insights can be a great way to open the door and connect and maybe even generate future clients. Six, you're going to grow, so be prepared to change and evolve your business as you go. You've got to stay on top of what your dream clients need and want, not what you want to sell them. Seven, we are all experts in something. Your passion is your fuel, but you might need an outside perspective, like a coach, for example, to see what you can't see yourself. Number eight, being multi talented or multi passionate is great, but you just need to focus in on what your ideal client needs and make that your message. So you give them a door into your world. Then you can tell them about all the other things you do once you understand them better. 9. I loved it when Christine mentioned her books being thin and in big font. Proof that you don't need to be writing the next Lord of the Rings trilogy in order to share something valuable or have success with it. And number 10, when you take the focus off of you and you show up for the people you want to help, it's so much easier to deal with any imposter syndrome because you take yourself out of the equation. Wait, hang on. Before I go, a quick note. As this podcast moves towards its final chapters, the best place to stay connected is my mailing list. That's where I'll share what's unfolding next when it's ready to be shared, without noise and without rushing. You can also find me on LinkedIn, where I'm still very much around and thinking out loud in public. There is something new taking shape behind the scenes, but I'm giving it the space to fully form before I speak about it properly. If you're curious, patient, and happy to sit in the in-between with me, you'll be in the right place. Thanks for being here, and I will speak to you again soon.